If you have survived the complicated exercises of section 2, then the good news for you is we are back to the easier exercises like in section 1. We are trying to find the active moves. The only difference is we have more pieces on the board and many positions are taken from real game examples. So it's still as in the first part that you just need to find the right active move to solve the position already, because you don't need to calculate it. It's such obvious move. But with that many pieces, it will just become more complicated to spot all the active moves, and that's why the second part is named as finding the active moves. So the first position, it's white to move, and what would you do? So the solution is rook takes d5 is a check. Queen g7 would also be a check, but this one gains a pawn. Black cannot take the rook because the pawn is pinned, meaning black would lose his queen. So white just won a pawn. In case if you are familiar with all the examples where white wins a piece or mates, this isn't always the case. This is a real played games from, well, a classical tournament. The white player was my student, and both players were 2000 Elo. With that strength level, 1 pawn is already half of the win and 2 pawns decide the game. So even if this tactics looks like a simple pawn for you, this is half of a full point for the white player in this certain game. Since it was also, well, a real game, it went further, but I will skip the next 10 moves and come to this position. The last move from black was rook to g5, and it's white to move. And this is your next task. What would you play here? So the solution here is rook takes e6. In the game, white played queen to c7. It is a check, and it would be a great check if the king would have to move. Unfortunately, black can just defend with the rook, and now white has seen that his pawn is hanging, so he defended it and immediately offered a draw. Black did accept it, and that was for the game. He accepted the draw because after queen h4, maybe rook g3, it is really hard for white to do anything, and the king is also don't feel too comfortable in this position. Instead, if in this position white would just spot the move rook takes e6 and not just abandon it simply because, well, the queen obviously guards e6. Yes, the queen does guard the square, but it cannot guard the pawn and the rook at the same time. So would white have seen this move, the game would be over already, because if queen takes rook, then we have queen's endgame with 3 pawns up. And if black takes our queen, then we just take on h6 with check, and we play a pawn endgame with 3 pawns up. So this was a crucial moment that decided a whole classical game, and well, the active moves would have helped here. Next position, it's here, and it's black to move. If you need some motivation, I'm sure that this game was played by Carlsen in a Blitz official tournament, but I didn't find the source for the game. Nevertheless, it's up to you to find the win for black. Well, the solution is mate in 2, and you find it only if you try to go through all the checks, all the active moves, since you won't give up your queen by any sane reasoning. But if you try to calculate it, then you will spot that this is actually a mate. White hasn't spotted it in the sequence leading to this variation, and well, Carlsen won the game here. Next game, it's white to move. So, if you start with the active moves, then you obviously have to check for the checks first, and the checks that are possible are queen to c6, queen to a5, then there's also queen d4 and queen d3, knight c4 and knight d7. These are all the possible checks. Now you don't need to calculate all the checks, but only the checks that do seem have any benefit to them. So queen to c6, certainly yes. Knight to d7, no. Knight to c4, yes. This one we can move away. Here just runs black moves away. And the most difficult of the active moves, or the checks that you may spot and not abandon, is the move queen takes e5, because it does actually have a reason behind it. But let's check all the three moves after each other. So first of all, queen takes c6 wins a pawn, that's great. But after king a7, white has no further continuation, and black is a rook up, so it's not satisfying. Then we could play knight to c4, and this is double attack on the king and on the rook, and certainly this seems like a good move since it does win the rook, but in the end black is still 2 pawns up in the resulting endgame. Therefore this well, it's better than winning nothing, but not the, well, certainly the best moves might have something better. And the ones from you that did spot the move queen to a5 get one of the 2 available points for the task, since here we win a rook so far, and now we can move the second move. The second point you get in this position if you do the right move. Again, I assumed or hoped to trap all these players who found queen takes e5, that they would play knight to c6 here, since it seems quite obvious, well, it's a double attack, with a check I win the queen, it has to be good. Well, yes, it's a draw, it's better than playing a lost endgame, so this is fine for a draw, but there's an even better option in knight to c4, which results in a mate, and mate obviously beats a draw. And if you would have found knight c4 from the beginning, then you'll get 2 of the 2 points.